Hi there and welcome to Lasso Create. My name is Rebecca and today I have a fun tutorial for you. It's a perfect beginner tote. It requires simple supplies. You don't have to worry about learning about interfacings, which interfacing to use. This actually uses felt. And I picked up this felt from Hobby Lobby for a few dollars. It is an expensive project that you can start off with. You can actually customize it and decide how you want to put a closure on it. I'm going to show you today how to use magnetic snap, but you could easily adapt it with sew and Velcro. You could also just leave the closure off and just make it into a storage bin. And just so that you can kind of see the size comparatively to my body. And then the fun thing is that if you don't include a closure, you could actually turn the bag inside out and make it a reversible tote. So it's a fast sew. Now the height of this bag finished at 10 inches in height. It is 13 inches in width and 4 inches in depth. So for this project you'll need 4 pieces of the floral felt. I picked 2 of each because I thought that it would be fun to make something that has a lining that's attractive as well as the exterior. Sheets of felt I found at Hobby Lobby. They were $2.49, measuring 12 by 18 inches. So you'll need 4 or 2 and 2, depending on if you want a different pattern for the lining. You'll need scissors, some snips, labels if you'd like to add a label, a 1-inch strap. I got this Dritz navy blue. It is 2 yards long. Some coordinating fabric, a magnetic snap if you want the top to close, or alternatively you could use some sew and Velcro, and sewing machine, as well as some clover clips. You'll also need a marking tool and a grid ruler of some sort. You could use a water-soluble ink marker or chalk, so whatever will show up on your felt as well as it disappear. So the first thing I'm going to do is mark in 2 inches from the short sides and repeat for all 4 pieces. So this is going to be the top side. So I'll turn it this way so you can see. This will be the top side. Next, you're going to take your ruler and line it up at the top 2 inches in with the bottom corner, and you are going to just draw a line. And repeat for the other side. Then you'll repeat it for all 4 panels. It doesn't unravel, so you don't have to worry about that. And it gives you a nice stiffness to be able to work with, so it's easy to cut with scissors. And you don't have to worry about interfacing it because it has that extra body and rigidity. Continue preparing all 4 panels in the same way. Next, I'm going to find the center point and mark it by just simply folding in half. It creases really pretty easily. And repeat for each of the panels. Next is time to attach a label if you're interested in doing so. And this is going to be turned down, so you want to make sure that you're coming down the center about 3.5 inches, 3.5 to 4 inches, depending on where you would like it. And I'm going to center it and then sew around it. Because this is dark, I'm going to just press. You can use double-sided tape if you need to, or you can just pin it. I'm going to be stitching with a 3mm stitch length, and I'm just going to follow along the sides. I'm going to leave long tails so that I can pull it through to the other side and have a tidy finish, so I don't have to back stitch. Alright, and instead of cutting the threads, I'm just going to pull it. And then just pull the threads to the back and tie them. There's your label. Okay, so you'll take right sides together, lining up the center points, making sure that the sides are aligned. I'm going to clip them down either side. Next, you'll take it to the sewing machine and you're going to stitch 1/4 of an inch in, back stitching at the beginning, down all the way around the 3 sides, back stitching at the end. Okay, next you're going to grab your ruler and your marking tool, and we are going to give ourselves some guidelines to box the corners. There are several different ways of doing this, but the way I'm doing it today is I am marking in. I'm just going to line up the ruler to my stitching line, and I'm going to mark in 1 3/4 inches in, and then I'm going to flip the ruler over, and I'm going to just use my guideline to make sure that I have a good square, and I am going to make sure that I have my guideline on that stitching line, and I'm going to mark 1 3/4 inches up, and then I'm going to come in and line up, make sure that the guideline is on that stitching line. And then again, you just want to make sure everything's lined up. 1 3/4. There we go. So then I'm going to take the scissors and cut the corners out. You can also double check yourself by taking the square and making sure that you measured accurately by laying it on top. Your exterior panels are ready for boxing. You can set those to the side, and we're going to work with the lining. Going to repeat the same process for the lining by placing right sides together and centering the marks, making sure that the edges are lined up, clipping down the edges in preparation for sewing. Sew at 1/4 inch in along the 3 sides, back stitching at the beginning and end. Next, you're going to take your lining and you're going to repeat the same process. You can actually use this as a little template. Just make sure everything's lined up. Okay, so at this point, both of your panels, your lining and exterior, are ready for boxing. If you find that it's coming undone, you can just take it back to the sewing machine and use a shorter stitch length and back stitch. So I'm going to take it, kind of pull out the sides to make it a little bit easier to lay into a straight line. And you're going to try to match up your seams. And you're going to take your strapping and center it, leaving about 1 inch to 1.5 inches out. And you're going to make sure that your seams are lined up and clip. I'm going to reach in, grab it, and bring it up. You're going to fold it over by 1 inch and make sure your strap is centered and clip so it doesn't move around. So I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew a straight line as possible. And if yours is bowed a little bit, don't worry, just try to go for a straight line from the angles, corners, a 2.5 millimeter stitch length, 1/4 of an inch in, and then I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch further in as well and do a second row of stitching just to make it extra secure. Okay, so this is what you should have. Now, without twisting the strap, you want to follow it along. Repeat for the other side. Just double checking that it's not twisted. So I'm going to repeat and do 3/8 of an inch down on this side as well. Okay, so now you can flip the top edge down. So I'm going to turn it the right side out so that you can decide where to place the snap. Now you can decide if you would like to do a length, like a 2-inch length of Velcro or what you would like, but you're going to do the Velcro on the lining side. So for right now, I'm going to just turn the bag right side out. So at this point, I'm going to set the exterior aside and I'm going to work on the lining. So I'm going to repeat the same process for boxing the lining, with the exception of you're not having to deal with a strap, so it's actually easier. You want to repeat it for the other side as well. Okay, other side. Okay, so at this point it's time to place the magnetic fastener. So this time with the lining, I'm going to turn the top edge. So I'm going to flip it to the outside and clip it. Again, I'm turning it 1 inch over, splaying open the seams, laying them flat, and lining up the seam edge. Okay, so I've clipped it all the way around, 1 inch folded edge. Next, I'm going to kind of pull it taut so that I see the center point, and 2 inches down from the folded edge, I'm going to center the washer and mark. Going through just one of the sides, I'm going to take a seam ripper and I'm going to rip it right there carefully. Okay, so I'm going to take the male side and going to pop it through. And then press the prongs. If you want, you can put a little piece of reinforcement, whether it be Decaville Heavy or Decaville Light, or any extra piece of felt also you could use. You just want to press it down. And then I'm going to place a little piece of tape over that to protect it. You can use duct tape over this if you don't have any double-sided tape. I'm just going to put some double-sided tape over it. And this is just to protect it so the prongs don't go puncturing through the other side of the felt. Okay, so now it's time to repeat the process on the other side. You can leave it off all the way also if you don't want it to necessarily close. I think duct tape probably works just as well. I just don't have any up here that I can see. Okay. Just making sure that okay, so you would repeat the process with a Velcro, following the Velcro directions if you've got the sew-in Velcro, and you could even put the Velcro further up if you'd like. Now it's time to put the lining inside. And you're going to put right or wrong sides together. Nestle in your corners. And now you can sort of fold it in the exterior part. Just going to line up the seams first on the sides. Press it down. You kind of get pretty thick, so keep going all the way around. Okay, so now it's time to do some top stitching. The main thing here is you want to make sure that the lining isn't showing or peeking above the exterior, unless that's an effect that you want to go for. So try to keep it flush. I wanted to double check and make sure that the closure is matching up okay. You want to make sure that your seams are lined up on the edges, and run a row of sewing all the way around, 3/8 of an inch in from the edge. Okay, so the bag is done. Just did it in an afternoon, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe. If you would like to see some of the other videos on the channel, please do so. Drop any comments that you have down below. Hi friends, Rebecca here from Laugh So Create. Inexpensive so that you can get your Bye, until next time, happy sewing.